Welcome back to part 3 of Mattie Cadden's instalment. Take it away, Mattie.
Well, sure, what do we want to say? That you mean, what were we talking about the last week? We were talking about
The land and the cow.
the land and the cow and that kind of carry on, and the way things were, and the plundering the people with the animals, and the plundering them with the people and kids and whatever the case may be, and so it's a terrible situation here, and that people doesn't know what's right, and they don't use thinking to know, do you know? So I understand that in this island it's an island of saints and scholars, and so they should act like an island of saints and scholars. And so every man was baptised here on the island at one time, and it gave them the spiritual guidance to know what was right and wrong. And I think there's a need for everyone that comes in on the island to be baptised. You know, it's to try and keep crime down, that people won't be committing crime. It was very important one time anyhow, and I think it's essential here at the minute again. And so you have to try and keep it in Ireland like that, mostly, you know. And I don't know where, how you'd go about doing that. But we have a situation here, and we're looking here at wood, and there's ash back, and there's all that kind of thing, and it seems there's nothing quarantine coming in here. You know, no disrespect to people, but this ash is taking over our own ash in the country and burning it out, and the people is the same, if they're not from an island of saints and scholars, and no disrespect to them, they're probably people, and decent people, a lot of them, that's been run out of their own countries on account of greed, and no one doing anything about it. They're flooding, and they're going in boats and lorries and to any place to get out from out of harm's way. But when they come in here, they need to be put to work. Every man needs to earn his bread by the sweat of his brow, and they need to be baptised, in my opinion. It's only my opinion. If you're going to be on the island of saints and scholars that we are proud of, the same as, like I said before about the German people, they are proud of the fatherland. So we have to be proud of the motherland, and we have to see that it's run that way. You know, and we can't be giving out money if people isn't working and earning it. Would you not think so now, Paul?
You mentioned something there, Mattie, about the devil's hour between 12 and 6. What did that mean exactly?
Well, so the way it was when we were growing up, if we were going out at night, we were always told to be home before 12 o'clock. The devil's hours is between 12 and dawn. And all these mishaps and accidents, and a lot of them, a majority of them, happens in them hours. So they were trying to keep people safe, you know. And so the situation in the country, if these places doesn't close down at 11 o'clock, the youngsters won't be home at 12 o'clock. You understand?
Yeah.
And I can't see any reason why all these pubs and dance halls and these places can't be closed down, because there's people waiting there till 9 or 10 o'clock to go to them, and then they're chap on. Instead of going earlier, if people finish work, and they can go earlier and be home earlier and be out earlier tomorrow to do a good day, honest day's work. Would you not agree?
I do, of course, yeah.
So it's a thing that needs to be policed, in my opinion. That'll be a start now for the country, wouldn't it? And it's it's the world's a stage, and you must play a part. Every one of us must play a part. Would you not agree, Paul? Elvis Presley sung that song, I think. And we all need to play a part. You can't expect the justice system to handle all the situations that's here in the country at the minute. The people must play a part. And if anyone comes into a community and goes to push drugs or causes any harm in any respect, send them out of the community. The people unite and they send them on. Send them out of there, because you can't have them there. And you do your own policing in your own way, you ignore them and you give them nothing, and they move on. There's a need for it to be done, you know, and let them know where they stand here in right and wrong. You can't be coming into people's communities and causing trouble, because it's not healthy, you know, and it's a bad example to be showing to young kids. Would you not say, Paul?
I do agree, totally agree, yeah.
You know, so the world is a stage, and everyone must play their part and keep things correct if they're going to rear a family strong and straight. You can't have any intimidation in here, you know, or any bad living situation, showing bad example. So you have to cut it out in that respect. Push them out, off you go. If you can't have manners here, off you go. They go into the next community, and the next community takes control of their situation, and they do the same with them. You understand?
Yeah.
You can't be up and down the road and spending money and up to courts and in courts and putting them through in 2 years, and it's just costing the country a fortune. This, and it's not fair to the victims that's in it as well. Not getting justice in the right way here and now. You know what I mean? And getting to move on with their lives, and people devastated. And the punishment not enough either. If an adult person commits a serious crime, sure, he has to pay for it. He has to be answered. He shouldn't do a thing like that. If he's a man, he shouldn't do that. Should he? Or a woman, or whatever the case may be. So, there is a need for this baptism. There has to be a need. And it's our country. If you go into another country, you do what they do in it, and you abide by their laws, and they do their quarantine. Some of them countries is great. You see them on the television. They quarantine everything you need, even clay, plants, all that.
Yeah.
They won't let you in if you're bringing any of that stuff in. And this is what we have here now, and that aspect, I don't know why it was prohibited for some reason or another. It's like a lot of things that was prohibited here, and the farmers can't handle this. And there's other things like pine martens. I don't know why they were brought into this country, or who's initiating all this, or what kind of leadership we have to bring vicious animals in like that that's not bred here, not never was here. Do you know what I mean? I've heard different stories. I've heard a story a few years there about a man had 2 pet wolves, and the postman couldn't go into his yard. It came up on the news back like a years ago. They shouldn't be here neither. You know what I mean? You don't have that kind of a situation. I don't know why that pine marten was brought in. They said he was brought in to kill the squirrel that was tampering with the wood. Well, he's killing lambs and he's doing horror destruction. And farmers, there should be a bounty put on him and get rid of him. It's not fair to farmers. They have enough of work and enough of hardship and enough of weather conditions without going to have that kind of a setup. You have problems enough now, and with the way the thing is gone. And it's too bad that, and we won't have farmers. If we haven't weather here, we won't have farmers now after this year, because they'll fall by the wayside. We're facing a winter of maybe not enough of protein in the feeding, and it adds to problems as well. So we need the sun here, and we need to get back. So would you not agree, Paul?
Oh, I do indeed.
It's very important to the farmer, and it's very important to every working class people. They need a bit of sun, and they need to be out there and walking their dogs or whatever they do in their leisure time, and they don't need to be bringing umbrellas or bringing coats, especially in the summertime. So we have to get the seasons back. And I don't blame her. I'm not surprised the way it is with the way the situation and the planning went on in the country as well. You have factory farming here. You have factory farming, and it's not producing a good product, and it's causing any pollution, because the man that has all this stock in a shed or whatever it be, pigs, he has no place to go. He's depending on the small farmer to take it off him. There was a time here in the country every man had a pig and every man had a cow, and whatever the case may be, and there was a good stocking rate, and there was no pollution because it was spread completely all over the country. You could drink water out of the stream, but it's a dangerous situation here today. No matter what you do, it's if you think about it, and it's sad the way the whole planning system has to be. It's not fair either to say young lads here and their father gives them a planning site for a house, and they won't. It cost him maybe 50,000 to get his planning, and if there was an old house on it, they'd make him do that one up. This is what they're on. This is Bord Planol. Whoever organised them, or who do they think they are to do this to the country living people here in the country? Decent working people. And to put them in debt with planning for maybe 50,000, and they're not even looking for amenities. All they're looking for is to build a house on their own farm that's bought and paid for. Now, is that fair?
No.
It couldn't be fair. So it's time for it sorted out here, once and for all. So the people who unite, so they're all going to be facing the same problem as to build houses. So stand together and see what is it about, or who's responsible, whose idea was this to rape the country financially and the young people, building houses. So, you have to start someplace here. But people has to get right in their mind and how they live and how they respect the situation, how they respect their people themselves and the animals and the land. Do what you know is right with it, and you could go down the line into crops and all that. And we have a situation here. Crops. I don't know whether the farmers know about crops and what crops there is and how they grow them and how dangerous the crops are. We have a situation here, we got into this, it was glass, I think it was. And this plan was up to so linseed. It's a dangerous crop, and no one seems to realise how it is. There's crops of heredity. There's so many crops of heredity, dangerous crops. If they're not handled with due care and attention, they're lethal, they're poisonous, they'll kill before them. And that linseed is one of them crops, I know it is. And I read it someplace where down in Northern Ireland, back in the years, there was a man poisoned calves with linseed crop. They made linseed cakes, but if they weren't made with due care and attention, they poisoned before them. You understand that? And it's all written there for people to research it. And then they come along here and they put this crop into sowed and it's left over the winter. And I understand, I wouldn't use it now. I wouldn't go for that plan. I know it myself. I did talk to other farmers about it. I said, no way am I using that kind of stuff. It's too dangerous. So they grew barley with it and they paid the farmers to grow a couple of acres of it and put barley in it to feed the wildlife now, to feed the wildlife. This is what I was supposed to do. And if you research this crop, it didn't feed them. It most likely poisoned them. Because it was a crop that if you put the barley in with it, well, the birds will come in for the barley. And the linseed is there. And the only ruling that was on it, and I don't know why it was, they knew something about it when they wouldn't let the farmers graze it until the 1st of March. Why that was. They knew it was dangerous. You understand?
Yeah.
Someone knew. You weren't allowed into it. But that crop, my understanding of that crop, if it's left there over the winter and the birds come in here into it, and the spray birds come in as well, and they break the stem of this linseed, it puts off something called personic acid. It's lethal. It's poisonous. Now, I'd like someone to research that and see what they can come up with. There's some of them crops, there's 4 or 5 of them that need to be looked into before there's a lot of destruction done, and there possibly is destruction done with that crop. People complain about the birds gone, and you have no birds and you have no bees, and you have, and they worry about them. And without the bees, you won't have any pollination. You're not going to grow nothing. You understand that. So we seem to be between pollution and these kind of crops, we're wiping out what it is that is so precious to live in. You need to get the cycle going to produce crops right, and every little thing does its own job here. We do not agree to that, Paul. So that's why they were put here in the first place. And that's why this is what we live by. And the good farmers back in the years, they lived by them. The bee was just as important as a cow. You know what I mean? That's the way they looked at it. And they didn't offend them, and they didn't destroy their habitats. And they used them for honey, and the same as the cow for milk. And they were left, that's what they were there for, but not to abuse them. It's sad what they do to that cow, and all them animals, the way they cause buggery with them and tamper with their wounds and everything. So it's a sinful job. So it's not a man at all that do it, in my opinion. So it's damnable what they do to animals here. And it's damnable then what they do to the land. And the way they rip it and plunder it and put in motorways and whatever. I know it doesn't seem to me much planning to it anyhow. They have the whole wound ripped out of the country. And they expect to get good weather. So the man above owns this land, and he gave it to us all we're born into it, fed. Some have families and some haven't. And we'll go back into it and nourish again in it. So look at it like that, it's all free. You know, if you do what you know is right way, then be fair with it. And back in the years, people lived happily. They hadn't much, but they lived happily, and everyone was willing to work. You know, people that... A man with one leg, you could say he was willing to work or do something. But I don't know about this, and it's not good for people to be getting money, and no disrespect to anyone. People that's well able to work, and an idle mind is the devil's workshop. Now, we often heard that. I'm sure you heard that, Paul. And it is. The man needs to be doing something to keep his sanity. You know, he needs to be doing something. If it's only gardener or what it is. And there is a need in this country here, in my opinion, to grow good vegetables for these youngsters. And I can't see if all these people is going to be here that they can't be put out into land and grow vegetables. Good organic vegetables are as near as possible to it. Because a lot of the stuff, in my opinion, it's hardly safe. You know, everything, every crop has to be brought in and processed and wrapped into plastic. You'd want to be carrying a good sharp knife with you to get out of it. Now, that's my opinion. What do you think, Paul?
Yeah.
You know, it is. Everything you buy, it's in a wrap. And there's cost to put on this wrap. Is this about employment? Is this the best you can do for employment here? You know, what do you think, Paul? It's a strange carry on. It's about giving employment, but sure, it's not giving employment. It's causing pollution. Sure, refuge collection is the biggest business in the world. You know, and the plastic is in the sea, and the fish gets caught in it, and it's in rivers, and it's every place. So, for God's sake, try and cop on and do what you know is right. And use thinking to know, and see what you're at here. That's the opinion I have on the whole thing. You know, but, so we could go on and on, but for today we have a bit of work to do, Paul, and, you know, we'll talk about it another day, but we could go on about these crops and the way they're supposed to be done. You know, farmers went out and they ploughed the land, and they were great farmers, and they didn't use pesticides. Now, my understanding of pesticides, if there's anyone able to enlighten me, these pesticides never die. They're there, and they're in the food, and they go into your system. And when you get on in life, if you get any kind of a setback at all, they take over. Your resistance is not there, you get cancer and you get all kinds of problems. But the most important thing here is these young kids. I'd like to see even the housewives, these young lasses, they have nice houses and they have big lawns, and they're buying petrol to cut them, or they're paying someone to cut them. And they'd be better off out there, dig your ridge and set a lot of nice vegetables up in a ridge and try it. And show the kids how to grow stuff and look after themselves. And it's all colourful in a lawn. And you move to another one next year and you rotate it. And that's what people done in gardens back in the years. And it's a learning process for youngsters, and you can get up and running, and they love doing it. Young kids, they love doing it. And, you know, they have a liking for it, you know, because any other activity that's for young kids, it's all cost with petrol, bringing them here and bringing them there and bringing them every place. But you have it all at home if you want to. You know, it's something to entertain them. And they'll be learning, and, you know, they'll be growing up strong and straight, and they'll know a lot of things about life, you know. And if they're out with livestock, they know farmers are a great place for kids to grow up on and be an active part in it and working with animals. And, you know, they're missing out on it and missing out on terribly on growing stuff. And I can't understand how they know anything, like you mean. Anything that's important. Like, they know how to sit in a job or work in a job and, you know, let your robot do this and do that. But out in the country is a different thing. And, you know, do the job well, and to do it right, you need people to do it. You need people to grow this organic stuff. You need people to keep crops clean, pull the weeds. And if you have a ridge, you go out there in the evening, you spend 10 minutes in it every couple of evenings, you pull whatever weeds. And at the end of the result, when the summer comes in here, and you have potatoes, and you have scallions, and you have lettuce, and you have all these things outside your front door. You go out and you pull ahead and you bring it in and you cook it and you have it there. You don't have to go down the road to the shop. You know, you have it there. And you have it, and you know it's good because you grew it yourself. And it will be good. And you don't need a fridge to keep it. All you need is to go out and pull it and put it and cook it, and that's it.
Yeah.
Can it be more simple than that? Well, it just can't, can it?
No, it doesn't get any better than that. No, in all fairness.
You know, like I say there's a need for that. I say these young lasses that's wearing kids, they don't really know. They just, you know, it's all forgotten, and it's so important. And the last thing you want to see is any young lassie with a young kid in a hospital and the kid not, you know, nothing can be done here. You know, and it comes to everyone's door, and it's worse and worse it gets every year because the situation is getting worse. You understand? Well, that's my opinion, sure. It's probably a lot of people's opinion, but sure, no one has taken any initiative to do anything about it because it's like everything else in the country. We have a TB, the farmers here is devastated with a TB eradication scheme. And it's gone on for the last 60 years. And it's worse, it seems to be getting. And 3 years ago, they were going to abandon it, it was clear. But why it got so bad since now? They're blaming a badger. He was always here. And I don't blame the badger. I say, who's giving it to the badger? He has to get it someplace else. How can he give it to the cattle if he didn't get it from someone else? Now, there's someone else giving it. I'd like to know who's giving this and why they're giving it. It's coming in a different way. And that's where you want to look, not be looking at the badger. You're looking at him all down the years, and he's not to blame. I don't believe he's to blame.
Yeah.
It's, if anything, it's the cattle that's giving it to the badger because they're getting it someplace else.
Yeah.
And if you're going to be spending billions and billions of pounds here on TB eradication and no results, it's time to chuck that eradication because it's not working. And it's devastating farmers because they have cattle here and the test comes and the winter comes and they didn't get to sell their cattle and they have to keep them over the winter. And it's a worry for them. And if they're young cattle, especially with a small farmer I have. And it's not fair to them there either. You know, it's not fair. You know, it's like cancer research.
Yeah.
And this country, I'll have to say, this country of ours, they're great people. They turn in billions and billions of pounds in charities every year. Well, there's really nothing happening. You know, you have to say there's nothing happening. And so these questions need to be answered. There's a need for people to get some return. Why it's not happening. You know, go back to the source. What causes it. And if crops has been growing wrong and, you know, which I don't doubt, but they are being growing wrong. You know, and sadly enough, a lot of these crops, where they're mass produced and they're grown with machinery. Well, if you think about machinery, if you see the way it activates, it can't activate in weeds. It can't. You know, can't do 100 acres in weeds because it's not able to handle the weeds.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everything has to be kept clean. That's pesticides. And like a crop of spuds, if you're growing a crop of spuds and you need to keep it clean for a harvester when they go to harvest the potatoes and pour them into the trailer on the elevator, well, you can't have weeds going into it because it won't work. The riddles won't work. So this has to be looked into. Is human life not more important than money? You know, greed is another deadly sin. Greed, to be doing it for the money. And forget about the principles and the morals and the people that's your customer. If a man has gone down here working and he's married and he's gone in, he has to do his day's work in a factory. And he comes home and at the weekend he has to go and do his shopping, or the wife has to go and do the shopping. Isn't he done an honest day's work? I'm sure he's entitled to get honest grub for honest money. Some that'll be good for his kids. It's not a load of trollopy ones. It's some that's good and well produced and, you know, honestly produced. So I think as far as these jobs that's we're getting here from someplace else, they're bringing them from all parts into a busy area, putting up factories. They'd be better off at home growing vegetables now and doing it right. You should be buying them off someone you can't trust. I'm not saying all farmers is bad. There's some of them great farmers. But you can't operate a crop with machinery with the machinery we have today, if this crop has weeds without using pesticides. You have to clean the crop so the machinery will activate. It won't activate otherwise. So back in the years it was all organic and it was all handwork done. They had various equipment, like I mean, for hoeing and that, for tractors, hoe the sides of the drills and all that, hoes and that kind of thing, which left it a lot easier. But it was all good grub, you know, and they were very honest men. Produced a good crop and gave fair weight, and it was all square dealing, good principles and square dealing, you know, for what they got, and they were paid, and everyone made a living.
Well, that's another topic, Matt, we do. And so we'll continue on with that next week. Thanks for your time, Matt.
Yeah, so no bother. It's everyone's problem the same as mine.
Oh, yes.
And if everyone could see it that way, and if everyone could get together and stand together and look for the answers to this thing, and do what they know is right about it, we get the sun back. Because without the sun, we can't live. We'll not be able to live anymore here. You know that. Every year it gets worse and worse. And I don't think that there's anyone that even think about it at all. They can't but say it's the way the country is done. You know, that this, we're not getting the weather. And every country is probably the same. And, you know, and it's sad to see people, and we might be the same, sad to see people coming into this country and having to flee from their own countries because of greed. And that's the reason why. If the country where they come from, no disrespect to them, was fair to them, they wouldn't have to leave it. You know, would you not think that, Paul?
Yeah.
You know, and they're honest people too. A lot of them is honest people wanting to work, and there's no point in fighting with them. But, you know, causing an eye and sure, work it out, and if need be, get some kind of a program put up there. And there's lots of land, and be doing something that's very important to the people. Producing good organic grub, it's a very important thing. There's always a want for it, you know. And that's all I'd have to say. We could talk there, Paul, but we have a few jobs.
Another subject for next week, Matt.
Yeah, well, so that's good enough, Paul. So if there's any more need to know, so, you know, so people can put something up there.
Thanks, Matt.
Right, very well, Jim.